Hello fellow traders, it's Black Coffee Trader. This is kind of an unusual video for me. This is a Saturday morning. On Friday or yesterday, I talked about this week being a red week, fairly red week for me, and kind of analyzing some of the trades and what am I doing wrong. And I just felt like there's something missing. There's something missing for me to have the amount of small losses that I've had this week, and even bigger red days, but also missing some opportunities. I know I missed some trades. I talked about it several times this week. And it honestly didn't take me very long this morning before I found a few things that I think could really change my trading. So I want to bring you along, and we'll try to do a little bit of a kind of a strategy, maybe a strategy update video, if you will, to kind of talk through the strategy. So my strategy is break and retest. That is pretty much all I trade. And part of the first step in the strategy is to mark out these levels, as you see on the chart. And typically what I do is in the mornings prior to market open, I will mark these levels either red or green. Green if it's below price, signifying support or demand, and red if it's above price, signifying resistance or supply zone. So the way I get my levels, for the most part, I chart levels based on daily highs and lows. Not always, but most of the time, that's what I do. For example, here I have the NASDAQ chart opened up, and you can see some levels I had charted from yesterday. By the way, let me just back up. This area right here, I have the New York session highlighted in a different color. So this is the New York session. I typically only trade during the New York session on my funded accounts. In fact, I rarely even trade the overnights. It's just something that I don't do very much. I like to trade the New York session where the volatility is highest, the volume is highest, and for me that just works the best. So again, not saying I'm right, just that's how I roll. But that is the daily session. So I am looking for the New York session high and lows. And as you can see here on, this was Thursday, this was the Thursday New York session low. Here's the Wednesday New York session low. Here's the Tuesday New York session low. Likewise, here is the Thursday New York session high. Here is the Wednesday New York session high, and here is the Tuesday New York session high. So I mark those. The highs are always in purple. The lows are always in blue, or a light blue. Now, where I get my levels from is, and again, this is not always the case. I'm looking for areas of where there's multiple touch points or consistent support, resistance, supply, demand, etc. For example, this one here, this red level that you see, this is one I had on the charts from yesterday. Obviously, this will be adjusted after yesterday's trading day. I haven't marked out those highs and lows. But here we have a high point and a low point here, which is really only lining up with these overnight highs that we have and also this kind of low area over here. But this high level of this range was really this high of day. And if you go up here, I mean, here we have a level that we have the high from back here. This would have been today, or this is Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, Friday, Thursday. So Thursday a week ago high. Also had this morning high on Friday a week ago. And then that lined up with the Tuesday low of day. And then that, here you have some reactions around the Wednesday intraday. So you kind of see where some of those areas come from. And I'm really looking for price as it returns to one of those areas to either give me a trade as a reversal. And in that case where we have, a move up to a level and we're looking for a reversal back down, or we have a move up to a level and we're looking to break and retest it for a long. And that's my entry. And that works the same way on a downtrend. This just both of those, that's the way that works. So step one of the strategy is to chart out these levels, and that's kind of the long and the short of how I do that. I want to show you what's the best way to walk through this. I think I'm going to just talk about what I found. So on a continuing trend, break and retest. Let's go to the ES, and here I have a chart. This is from a couple days ago. I think it might be day 166. on my update videos, but here we have a level that had been on the charts for some time. And a couple of mistakes that I made in the morning, I actually took this trade long right here. If you go back and watch that video, I took the long anticipating this bounce off this level for further upside. And we didn't get that move, that ended up failing. And I did not take this trade, which really would have been a great trade, was a break and retest of this level. So really what happened here is we had a break and retest of this area right here, that line. And I should have taken that trade and gotten this flush instead of waiting for here. Now, at that time, I did have another level marked out here. I forget what it was, but I've since taken that trade off, that level off. However, the trade, this was a positive trade, that's why it's marked. Here's the thing that I noticed. On a continuing trend break and retest, where you have a trend coming down, and you're breaking a level, retesting it, and continuing. On this trade, what I need to do is wait to take the entry, or not wait, but wait and or take the entry when the 2-minute candle touches or pierces the 9 EMA. And if I do that, and I'm just showing you a couple of examples here in this short video, but this has happened multiple times on just, the back testing I did here this morning. If I take this trade right here, if you notice, once this was a fail, so I should maybe back up and, well, no, I'm not going to. I'm going to continue so I don't mess up my train of thought here. This is a fail. We might come back to this because there's a lesson here as well. But here we have a cross. So we have a fail. We have a cross of this 9 and 21 EMA. So we had a little bit of red. You can see this little red right here, or green, I should say, not red. We were red in the channel, downtrend. We flipped to green momentarily and then back to red. Right here, we have the EMA cross. You can see that cross occurring. So that is really, here we have a fake or a false breakout. And now we have a continuation trend. So we get to my level, and this is what I want to point out. Once we get to the level, the trade should have been taken. Let me just zoom in here so we can see this a little bit better. The trade should have been taken right here. You can see that we started to fall below into this area that I had marked. Once we start falling below this area, we have this pushback, candle pushing back up into the 921 EMA range, and we actually pierce that, but we don't break that level high. And once this candle falls back down out of this range, right there is where the entry should be taken. Stop loss can be placed right here. And, we just ride this wave. You've got, a 2R somewhere down here. I did have another level, so I could have about a 2R trade till we get to that level, maybe add and continue. So that could have been a monster trade. This was a really nice trade the way it was, even on this short little trade. But the thing that I'm getting at is when we get to a level and price needs to retest the area and retest that EMA. Actually get into the EMA and then once it loses that EMA, that's when the entry needs to be taken. So let me read my notes here for a second. Yeah, that's really basically the gist of it. At a key level, if we are at a key level and price tests this 9 and 21 EMA, and it falls out of that, either on an uptrend or downtrend, I need to take that entry immediately, put the stop above the level, and run with it. Because what's happening is I'm missing these. This is a trade I missed. I should have taken this trade. I did take this one, but again, here, this one worked. There was a level, I forget exactly where it was, but it was probably somewhere in here. And as soon as we had a rejection candle, I went short, which worked. But I also, at that point, we weren't retesting this 9 and 21 EMA. We did not retest that level. So what happened? The move was kind of short-lived, and then we got to the bottom of it. So I really missed the first half of this trade because I didn't take the original entry. And this obviously was a more prominent level because I don't have this one there anymore. I hope that makes some sense. even though this was a winning trade, because we didn't get this test of the level at the EMA, or at the test of the EMA at the level, the trade ended up not being as big as it probably could have been. And I've noticed this several times, and going back even just this week in trades where I had winning trades, but I had short little winning trades. And the reason was I was taking an entry at a level where we weren't testing the 9 and the 21 like we did here. Here we tested the 9 and the 21 at my key level, and that's really what should have triggered that. So again, hopefully that makes sense. Moving on to the other trade, which would be kind of a break and retest reversal, or a key level reversal, I guess I could say. I have a chart pulled up here on the Russell, and here was one where the thing I need to do on these reversals, this is sometimes difficult. So here I have a high of day marked, and I also have a key level. I have this key range marked out. You can see that level there. When you're getting up into this area and you're seeing a rejection, where's the entry? Where's the entry? And that's too often I've struggled with that. Like, where do I take this entry short? I think it's going to short, but where's the entry? And I have a mistake that I'll show you on the Dow Jones as well. But what I want to point out is here we have rejection, rejection, rejection at this level. And I actually didn't even take this short. And this could have been an absolute monster trade. What I did is I took a long on this break and retest here, which was a little bit of a profitable trade. And I'm okay with that. But here again, this one was okay, as we did test this area above the level, and I took the trade, which was fine. It just wasn't a big trade. But the better trade really here would have been a rejection play. And the thing I want to point out is, once again, you have this EMA cross. Right here you see this EMA cross. So we go from green and we cross over into red. Once this red happens and we retest, we pierce or touch this range, the 921, that's when that is the signal to take the entry, because this is my level I'm trading. It could be any of this area. So you take the entry right here. Once this candle pierces and continues to fall out of that range, that 921 EMA, here's where I take the entry point. Stop loss can be sitting above here. Yes, I do have a level here, but this is showing me that we can't push through and we're rejecting, and this EMA cross is the other signal that says, hey, we're going back down. So if I take that, my stop can be above here. I can have a profit target sitting, somewhere down below, and I can just, take my profits down. And look at what this trade could have done. I believe I took a short here. I think I took a short right here that day. And I also took a long up here that day. Two very, very bad trades and ended up losing. And in hindsight, the better trade would have been cross of the EMA. We're back down below the level. We have a rejection play setting up. We test this 9 and 21. We take the entry short. And we just literally ride this wave all the way down. And this has occurred multiple times. And so that is just something I want to really watch for. If we get to a reversal area, and the reversal could be a flip of this. It could be the market's coming down to this area, and I'm looking for a reversal back to the upside. I want to see that cross occurring. This cross occurring is big. I want to see that cross occurring and then take the entry. And if I do that, the testing has showed it is a very, very much higher probability trade. And oftentimes it ends up in a lot bigger of a trade. So my test is going to be, can I actually implement it next week? And can I actually, hold those trades, get into that when I see those things occurring? We have rejections, we have a cross of the EMA, we have a test of the EMA, and then we take that short. So hope that makes sense. I want to go to the Dow Jones as well, because I did find this was from yesterday. And here is kind of the same thing we just talked about. So here, I actually took 3 shorts yesterday. I think this was yesterday. No, it wasn't. This was the day before. I think this might have been Thursday. So I took a short somewhere in here, ended up failing. I took another short, got stopped out up here at the highs. And then I re-entered the short here. And I did get a little bit of a win here. I think I added the EMA, got a little bit of a win here, but got stopped out. But what did we do? I was correct. So my reading of this entire market that day was correct. We were rejecting the prior day high completely, totally rejecting it. However, I took an entry here, stopped out, lost money. Took another entry, stopped out, lost money. Took an entry here, got a little bit of profit. But I really missed this big move. Does that make sense? So again, if you look at this, what should have occurred, or what maybe, there's a couple things here. So I should not have been taking any entries in this area because we didn't have the EMA cross. On this section right here, there was no EMA cross. There was no reason to take that short. Even though it looked like a short, even though eventually it was a short, we get paid in this market for being right on direction. So the first thing is we need to be right on the direction of the market, and we also need to be right on the timing of the direction. So my writing skills suck. So this is the two things that have to be there for us to get paid in the market. We get paid to be right on the direction, and we also get paid simultaneously to have the time correct on that direction. And I was right on what's going to happen. I was right on reading this, but my timing was wrong. That's why these were losses. And I also was wrong on this entry. Even though this was a win, if you go back to what I just talked about, where's the entry? We show a reversal. We have an EMA cross right here. And so when we come back up and we test and pierce that level, right there's the entry. That's the entry that I should have taken. Now, had that occurred, I would have gotten this flush and I would have taken some profit there, I'm sure. Would I have gotten shaken out on this push back higher? That's the question. I may or I may not have. Either way, that would have been a profitable trade. Now, if you go, let's see if I can erase some of the stuff and leave all of it. I am not used to using this in this manner, but let's see if we can do that, because I want to keep these notes at the bottom. Welcome to elementary school. We're the second grader at the blackboard erasing our chalk. Funny. I can't erase it. So now here's where we're going to go. If I had taken this entry when we fall out of this 9 EMA, and I take it at the VWAP, which is really nice. You get a rejection of VWAP. I could have gotten out there. If I did not get shaken out, we have another entry occurring over here. See, you have another EMA, or a 921 EMA cross happening right there. We're in this lower high. We're in a rejection status. So I again could have taken this short, and right here was even the better one. I mean, this is sloppy, but I hope you get the picture. Here we have another EMA cross, and that really is the move. Right there is the entry that really set up this full flush down to this lower level, and the ended up being the low of day. So if you take this entry, stop can be, right here above these highs. It could be above this level. It could be above this level. So there's a few areas where you can put your stop. But yeah, I hope this makes sense. I got a lot of value out of just doing some back testing and looking at, where have I been making mistakes? And the thing there's two things that really stand out. Number one is I'm taking entries on areas where I sometimes read the market correctly, but I don't get the move, or I get stopped out because I'm early. The time part is not right. B, I'm sometimes not taking trades like this one, for example, that could have been a really big trade, but I didn't take it. You go back to the ES trade. I didn't take this trade. I looked at it. I saw it. I took a long here that was incorrect, and I'd said I wanted to go back to this. So if you go back to this long, this is a reversal. This is that same reversal we just talked about. So here the market's coming down. I'm looking for the reversal to bounce, but I don't get an entry here. If you think about this, there's no or 9 and 21 EMA cross. There's no cross here. So there's no entry. There's a cross here, but when we come back to test it, here the cross occurs. When we come back to test it, we don't test it really. We fall right through it. So you see that this candle right here falls right through that level, and it never pushes back out of it to get the long entry. So if I'm paying attention to that, I don't take this loss, but I instead wait, and here we have the red channel, we have a flip to green, and then we go back to red. So here's the EMA cross. Now it doesn't occur on the level, but as we fall below the level and we retest that area below the level, here's my level, we retest it, we fall out of there, there's the entry. And just understanding that, it should make a big difference in some of the trades that I take, and the size of the trade, or the R&R, or the R value of the trade. You know, I can get into a trade like this, stop here, entry somewhere here. You know, you get out at 2R, maybe add double the position at 1R, you take some off at 2R, and you just start trailing your stop, or not trailing, but you just start taking profits all the way down. So anyway, I'm looking forward to next week. Let's put it that way. I feel like I learned a lot this morning just doing some back testing, and I have a very, very, very clear game plan for how I want to be more patient in my entries at these key levels, whether I'm looking for a continuation break and retest to an area, or if I'm looking for a reversal. The reversal, I have to have that EMA cross occurring. I have to see this happen and a retest of that area before I take that trade. And likewise on the move back down, if I'm looking for a continuation, I need to have a test of the 921 at the level for me to take the trade, whether it's long or short. So those are the changes I plan to make next week. Hopefully we have a better week next week, and maybe we can end up with a very, very nice solid green week, which would be nice. And maybe this is the missing link that I need to consistently get better profits. If you look at TradeZella, I am just simply trading break even. I mean, even for this month, I am basically trading. Let's go to this month. I'm basically trading that break even. I mean, that's really the long and the short of it. We're on the entire month. We're basically break even, and I have some nice weeks because I catch some good trades, but then like the last couple of weeks, I make some mistakes, and I talked about it this entire week. I missed some big trades this week, and we ended up with a pretty big red week. So anyway, I'll stop rambling. But again, just want to say thank you. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for supporting the channel, and hope you get some value out of this. Again, I'm just sharing my journey, but it does help me if I just talk about what I'm doing and talk about, the strategy, talk about, how I can improve and the mistakes I'm making. I find that when I do that, it really sticks better in my brain. So hopefully that makes sense. Have a great rest of your weekend. And as we traders like to say, can't wait till Monday. So we'll catch up with you on the next one. Take care, and so long.